Hello and welcome to another installment of the Bygone Times. I hope you're doing well today. And today we're going to be looking at this little malachite paperweight. I think the form of it is probably a tomato, and the little stem moves. We'll see more about that in a minute. But first, I wanted to tell you a little bit about malachite. This kind of looks fake almost. It's so pretty and interesting looking. But malachite is actually a copper carbonate hydroxide mineral. The copper is what gives malachite its green color. And as I said, it's very pretty and it's very heavy. This probably weighs somewhere around a pound or so. I don't know. It's very small. You can see it just fits in the palm of my hand. So very dense. Malachite has been around for a long, long time. It's been found at least as far back as like 4000 BC in the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt, and it's made its way kind of around the world. So they're finding, archaeologists find evidence of it being mined, but we also find artifacts of malachite being used. It's been used in like Egyptian hieroglyphs and as inlays to various ceramics over the years and ceremonial masks and so forth. It's been found in North America, in Mexico. It's been found in England, and it's played an important role in ceremony and art throughout the years since at least 4000 BC, including in the Middle Ages and the Renaissance and early modern Europe. As the 18th century wore on, most of the malachite known stores in the world had been mined because it was so striking and was used in such large quantities, although it was found in not really large quantities. However, around that time, probably the middle of the 18th century, middle 1700s, the Russian miners or industrialists found large deposits of malachite in the Ural, in and around the Ural Mountains, which is kind of runs north to south in the western part of the country. And they were able to find huge contiguous chunks of malachite, 1 ton, 2 ton chunks that were nothing but malachite. And consequently, Imperial Russia, which was more or less the period from 1750 to 1915, 1917, is very heavily associated with the use of malachite in their palaces and their artwork, and you'll see large slabs of it in fountains and doors and so forth. And also much popular and important artwork, I suppose you could say, came from Russia during that period and has made its way into the antique world. And when you see malachite, vases or sculptures or what have you from the 1800s, mostly it's Russian malachite, and it's very popular and usually pretty darn expensive too. I know when I first started kind of taking notice of antiques in the 1980s, malachite was top of the line and sort of untouchable. So not surprisingly, as we see today with I would say, knockoffs or like less expensive ways to take advantage of designs and styles that we like. Malachite was brought into the mainstream with new products in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And I think that's where this one lands. This was probably made in the 70s or 80s. I'm not sure where it would have been made. It could have really been made anywhere. There's not a lot of malachite, I don't think, in the United States in terms of what's being mined. And so this, but at any rate, this is a fairly new piece, all things considered. Probably not Russian malachite. Could be from the Middle East, could be from Mexico or somewhere else in North America, I suppose. But it's nice and shiny. It's some machine tooled. You can see it's pretty standard. It's got a what might be considered a pontiff mark on the bottom there. My dogs are going off, as they tend to, in the other room. So functionally, like I said, this is a paperweight. So I got a little sticky note, so you don't want your paper to blow away. You can put the paperweight on it. That pound will hold down a pretty good amount of weight or of paper. But also, the stem of the tomato pulls out, and it's a little pin, and so you can put your high priority messages here on top of the tomato. So if your tomato boss is expecting a message from you or a report from you, you can just pin it to the top there, and it won't get lost in the shuffle of papers that's underneath your malachite tomato. Alright, so in terms of value, we'll talk about some of the earlier pieces. Some of the antiques are very, very valuable, and can run, hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, depending on the size of the piece and the form of the piece. This little guy, who is newer, not really a reproduction, because I don't know that they made this form in antique forms, prior to the 1970s, 1980s. But this little guy is probably about maybe a $20 piece today. It could be plus or minus, depending on when and where you either buy it or sell it. But some folks will collect multiple little pieces, and you can build up a decent collection of newer malachite for relatively cheap these days. And probably you can even find deals at garage sales or thrift stores where folks aren't really aware that it's malachite, and it's going to be fairly cheap anyway if it was something you wanted to collect. So there's a quick history of malachite and a run through of our little malachite tomato. Hope you've enjoyed, and I thank you for tuning in.